After finishing all preparations, the assassin went back out to sea. Today was the final day of the mission. He first rented a speedboat as cover. Once he reached the sniper position, he immediately took out a knife and killed the captain. The assassin showed no hesitation at all. Sniping at sea was extremely difficult, so he had made thorough preparations. He put on a full stabilization rig and strapped high explosive rounds around his waist. Before every mission, he carefully calibrated his equipment. This was critical to him. With the waves constantly rocking the weapon, the stabilizer system became essential. After installing the gear, he stayed on the speedboat and began testing the weapon setup. Determined to kill the target with a single shot, he fired one round forward. The bullet hit the exact center of the reticle. The pre-assassination checks were complete. As the assassin waited for the target to appear, he noticed a surveillance drone flying overhead. He had no choice but to cover the weapon with clothing and pretend to be fishing at sea. The live feed from the water was transmitted back to the island control room. Fortunately, this speedboat was a familiar sight, and it was operating beyond the 2-mile perimeter, so the security chief did not take it seriously. After confirming the area was secure, the target walked out of the villa under guard protection. This was the moment the assassin had been waiting for. He quickly loaded the round into the chamber, planning to attack when the target entered the water. Just as the crosshair locked onto the target, a sudden wave surged across the surface. In that instant, the assassin lost his aim. If the target entered the water, it would be dangerous. He tried to realign his sights, but it was already too late. A perfect opportunity slipped away. Still, the assassin did not give up. He continued waiting for the target to resurface. As he focused on lining up the shot, a patrol boat suddenly headed straight toward him. With no choice, he shifted his aim to the approaching threat. He fired one shot at the guard and killed him instantly, but his position was now exposed. There was very little time left. He had to eliminate the target immediately. At this moment, the assassin did not hesitate. He loaded the final rounds and prepared to fire. Another drone was quickly deployed to investigate. Fortunately, the assassin carried a signal jammer, which allowed him to evade the drone surveillance. At this point, the security chief spotted the assassin. He immediately ordered his men to protect the target. Before the assassin could fire, the bodyguards forced the target into the water, but the target could not hold his breath for long. The assassin only needed to wait for him to surface. As the target struggled to hold his breath, the assassin calculated the timing and fired. Unexpectedly, a bodyguard took the bullet for him. Even worse, he now had only one bullet left. If he failed to kill the target, he would lose every part of his payment. The target took a deep breath and dove back underwater, swimming toward the island. But the ripples created by his movement caught the assassin's attention. This was his final chance. The assassin calculated the timing and pulled the trigger. The target remained underwater, and the bullet struck him precisely. In the end, he could not escape his fate. At that moment, the assassin felt deeply moved. He had completed an impossible assassination. Without hesitation, he started the speedboat and fled the waters immediately. After finishing the assassination, the killer withdrew at high speed. He did not expect nearby police to already know what happened. Large numbers of officers were stopping and checking passing vehicles. The killer tried to back up, but the road was blocked by traffic. Passing the checkpoint successfully was no longer possible. With no other option, the killer forced his way through. Police reacted immediately. They began chasing his vehicle at once. Using excellent driving skills, he turned into narrow alleys. The police car behind could not avoid the turn and crashed into a stone barrier, but the danger was not over. As soon as he exited the alley, more police cars appeared. Road obstacles were even placed ahead. In an emergency, he sharply turned the wheel and pulled the handbrake. He used a drift to spin the car around again. Police opened fire as soon as they saw him, but the killer had already escaped the area. When the news announced the target was dead, the River Project was officially declared a failure. The clients who hired the killer relaxed, but they still refused to pay the remaining money. At the same time, police uncovered a new lead. The same method appeared again in another location. Police clearly understood this was a highly difficult long-range assassination, and the two killings used exactly the same technique. So they concluded both were done by the same person. The gang victim was likely killed due to personal revenge. Police suspected the killer might be hiding in Spain, but superiors had already ordered all investigation to stop. An officer insisted she held critical clues and believed the case could be solved soon. However, her superiors took a firm stance. Soon after she submitted her resignation, and her superiors did not stop her, the escaped killer switched to another vehicle. He planned to return home immediately, hoping to see his wife as soon as possible. But while driving through a curve, a boy suddenly ran out to grab a soccer ball. The killer instinctively turned the wheel hard, but the car lost control and rolled down the slope. This caused the fuel tank to leak and catch fire. Luckily, another car passed by at that moment. The driver quickly stopped to check the situation and called the police for help. The conscious killer called out, asking for help. The driver pulled the door open with force and dragged the killer out of the wreck. Fortunately, the killer was not seriously injured. The passerby wanted to call an ambulance, but then he saw the sniper rifle in the man's hand. He was instantly terrified by the sight. In this urgent moment, the killer pulled out his weapon to threaten him, but remembering the man had saved his life, he took the driver's keys and phone instead. He planned to escape the area as fast as possible, but someone nearby had already called the police. The killer did not hesitate. Carrying the sniper rifle and suitcase, he fled again. Soon, he drove the car to the edge of a cliff. He quickly bandaged his wounds. Then he changed into the driver's clothes. Final.